The hardest point is getting to that point of decision. Once you feel decided, then it is actually easier to act. Were you doing any sort of spiritual practice, mental practice, anything like that that helped you get to this point of decision?
It's a good question.
Christine Lozada quit her dream job at Amazon and Walmart to become a YouTuber and fly drones around the world. How did that happen? How did she go from working at two high-level executive jobs with a fiance and a $1.1 million condo in the nice part of San Francisco to quitting it all, leaving her then fiance, and going a completely new direction at the age of 40? And if you're wanting to make a change in your life, how can what she did and what she learned help you to make a similar decision, or at least learn from some of her mistakes and insights? That's the reinvention story that we're getting into today. In the first part of her story, we talked about the turning point that led up to this decision. But now she's already decided she's going to leave and what happens next. She has an idea that she wants to start creating content, but she's still not exactly sure what her niche is going to be and what she even needs to do to make that happen. And so this is a journey that we go on today, because today she is a content creator for people over 40 who want to travel, who are into cruising specifically, and drones. And so I ask her a lot of questions about how did she find this niche? How did she, figure out what her target audience is, and figure out what she was interested in and how that related to what the target audiences that were out there. So if you're interested in being a content creator, maybe yourself, or just going a new creative direction, some of her insights there might help you. And also she talks about how as a small influencer, some of the tricks that she used to connect with bigger influencers, and just how she basically went from knowing really nothing at 40, just having an idea, and how she made it work to actually then become the influencer and work in the field that she wanted to work in. And then another part of her story is the new love story that she found. She left her soon-to-be then husband, and out of the blue, she met somebody else. And that's a whole other reinvention story that I also ask lots of questions about. Hi, my name is Hannah, and after burning out over the age of 40, I decided to rediscover what I really wanted and reinvent myself to be who I really wanted to be. Along the way, I'm talking to other women in their late 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, and beyond who have reinvented themselves to show me and you that no matter where you are, no matter what it seems like, you always have more options than you think. So welcome to She Reinvented. So I think you're going to love this reinvention story with Christine Lozada. So let's get into it.
I would say personally, two things for me. One that I think will work for a lot of people, and one that I don't think will work for a lot of people. I'll start with that won't work for a lot of people. Because I used to teach yoga. I used to have a mindfulness practice, and I realized that the traditional way that meditation looks for most people, it took me 20 years to figure out, like, that doesn't work for me. That my best meditation, my clearest mind, is when I'm exercising to the point of complete exertion. Like when I'm sprinting on the treadmill at 12 miles an hour at Barry's boot camp, or doing something so strenuous that I cannot think about anything except that. That's when I have my clearest mind. And even an example, when I went to in person kindly tell my now ex-husband, I'm leaving, I scheduled it where I told him in a place that was comfortable for both of us, went immediately to Barry's boot camp, and then came back an hour and a half later to finish the conversation so I could allow him to absorb the news. I could clear my head, and then we could have a conversation once he's had a moment to absorb the information. Like, that's an example of like logistical, this is going to work for me. But one thing that I think would work, that works for a lot of people, that I also do, is I really focus in on what my life would look like as the opposite. So if I don't do this, like really try to like put yourself in that position. What would your life look like if you didn't make this hard decision? And then that is enough to make me definitely make the decision, because it's like, if I don't do this, well, then I'm going to, and then fill in the blank, and I try to play out in my mind with as many like visuals as I can of what my life would look like. And on the others, it's always better on the other side. Like, rip off the Band-Aid, just jump in the cold
Just rip.
water, just
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah.
Because if you just keep, too many people just keep holding on to that thing, and it's like, will it serve you?
Mm.
Will it
So
serve you?
true.
Yeah.
So you made that decision. You told your husband, I think this is 2018. What next? What do you do next?
Oh, I went to Florida.
I went to Florida to
Oh,
be
I
with
went to Florida.
Meatball.
I did. For first, I went there to be with myself. And
Mhm.
so when I had made that comment about, I went there, but I went there with a safety net, I didn't immediately jump into the, hey, can I move in with you? And let's start this new life together. Like, I knew I needed to give myself time to grieve, to mourn, to continue to go through the logistics, to do the bottle of wine and the box of tissues every night and all the things. Like,
So
I
you
just knew
went
that
to
was
did you rent a place nearby or
that.
something?
I
Mhm.
rented a place nearby that was fully furnished, was somewhere that I could be, that he could come visit, but I had my own place, my own space,
Mm.
so that I
And
could give myself the time I needed.
and were you still working remotely at this point?
I was, yeah,
Okay. Wow. Mhm.
still working
Yeah.
remotely.
Yeah. What a crazy time.
It was a crazy time, but it was
Sounds like
also
an exciting time, though.
it was a very exciting time. Yeah.
Mm. So then, at some point, I think you decide to and by the way, in the meantime, are you still making videos? Are you still doing content during this time? Is this when you're learning how to make videos, or does that come later?
This is simultaneously while I'm still traveling and
Mhm.
playing with this idea of making videos. So, yeah,
Mm,
that's
okay.
all happening at the same time.
Okay. Had you started a YouTube channel at this point, or were you still just posting on Facebook?
That still posting just on social media,
Mhm. But you're
which all of that
mm,
stuff, by the way, if you try to look for it, has been wiped.
oh, okay. Understandable, understandable. But this is the time I mean, often, people don't talk about the beginning messy period when you don't really know how you should be doing it, what you should be doing, you're testing things out. So, but in the back of your mind, an idea is forming. It sounds like an
Mhm.
idea is starting to form. And when did YouTube specifically enter your mind? Is that
It was
before or is it more recent?
so 2018 is when all of this turmoil of leaving my husband, moving over to Florida, and in 2019, that was the time that I technically started my YouTube channel, but I didn't really start posting to it yet. So,
Mm,
like, summer 2019, I started, like, putting 1 or 2 things over there from trips I had taken with some advice about those trips. But it was really the pandemic, the time that really shook up the world and shook up everyone's life, that I was like, "When all the shaking is done, I wanna be doing something totally different."
mm,
And that was when I really jumped into it, because I had the opportunity during that time to take time away from my corporate job being furloughed
mhm,
and really jump into YouTube. And so
mm.
that was when I really started.
And what camera were you using? What equipment were you using at the very beginning? Did you actually, when you decided, did you go out and buy like really nice equipment, or did you just start with something smaller?
This is such an important question, because anyone who's considering YouTube or anything like this, and actually, even on my Bonaire trip just now, so much of my content is filmed on my phone.
Mm,
Like 90% of my content is filmed from my phone, from
mm,
my iPhone. And at that time, the first 100 YouTube videos that I made were filmed from my iPhone and edited on my iPhone with no microphone. In other
okay.
words, every single person has a chance to do exactly what I did. And I got from 0 to 10,000 subscribers just filming in that way. And it's enough. Like, you really don't need anything crazy to get
Mhm.
going, and most people get stuck on the gear when really you should just be stuck on the, what's your story and who are you trying to help, or
Yeah.
who are you trying to speak to? And that's enough.
Yeah, that's really great to know. Do you
Yeah.
remember, and I don't know if it's still up, but do you remember that first kind of official YouTube video that you did, and what was it? And
Oh,
how
yes.
long did it take for you to record it? Because I know it's
Oh,
harder at first.
oh, I have 2 answers to that. The very, very first video I ever made never made it to YouTube. The reason for that is because I wanted to make a quick 2-minute talking video, and I'd spent over 5 hours filming it, and I could not spit it out. I was trying so hard to be perfect corporate Christine who is presenting in this YouTube video, and it was so dry and so stale and so disgusting that I wouldn't even let Meatball look at it. And it was on that day that I was so over it, and I was gonna quit the day I started, and I took a selfie on that day, and that selfie photo is what my Facebook profile, Instagram profile, YouTube profile, my profile pic everywhere is that selfie to remind me of my day one and not to quit. And so that first video was like, wow, this was awful. It burned to the ground. I was so frustrated. And then what happened next was I was like, let's just try again. Tried it again. That video is like one of the most painful videos to watch, and it is absolutely on my channel to remind me of my day two. And so that video was just a talking video about like Jamaica, about a place in Jamaica.
Wow. But this is inspiring. This is inspiring because now you have a YouTube channel and an Instagram channel with thousands of followers and hundreds, tens
Yeah.
of thousands of followers. But sometimes it's hard to get over that first roadblock, that first not roadblock, like writer's block. Yeah, just and
But the most important thing that people
Mhm,
need to just put in their head first is that your first fill in the blank with anything is gonna suck. Like, you're
mhm,
only gonna get better from there. It's not until, you've been doing it for a while or, you have your 3rd kid or, you've been driving your car for a long time that you can reverse and parallel park into something. Like, I knew my first YouTube videos were gonna suck. It's only gonna
mhm,
get better from there, but you have to start somewhere. But the
mhm,
beauty of it is that on all social media, you can just delete it. You can just
mhm,
delete it, and we didn't have to pay for a TV ad or a billboard or something to show it to the
mhm.
world. You can talk to the world for free, which is an amazing opportunity for
Yeah,
everybody.
it is. It is.
Yeah.
And yeah, I agree. And when you first started, was your idea that it was just going to be a travel? I mean, did you have a specific focus, or at that point, was it just like, I'm just going to share travel videos?
I always knew that I wanted to help people to travel smarter. That
Mhm,
I always knew I wanted to create the video that would have helped me.
mhm,
And so I always created from a standpoint of some of these places are just so hard to travel to. And it's like
mhm,
we do so much research and then we go experience the thing and we hope that it's what you researched and what you experienced. But oftentimes it's like, wow, I didn't expect that. Or like that
mhm,
wasn't, the way it went down, or I wish I would have known this or that. And so I
mhm,
try to take all the helpful tips that I researched and then experienced. And that's the video I make. And it
mhm,
always came from the premise of people asking me for how do I travel in that place, the questions that friends and family were asking. And I tried to just keep that in mind as well as the video that I wish I got to see before I went
mhm,
there. And that was what I stayed true to from day one. And I knew
mhm,
that it was just going to be about travel.
mhm. And I know that your focus is beach travel. Was it always beach travel from the beginning, or is that something that came out later?
It was always, I love water. It's so nice to be
Mhm,
around water.
mhm,
Um, I love chasing an endless summer. I
mhm.
say beach travel because my channel is the places I love to travel to, which is
And you're a
beaches.
beach, you love to travel to beach
I love
destinations.
the beach. Ah, I love the ocean. So yeah, beach
Mhm,
destinations. That is
mhm,
primarily what my YouTube channel is.
mhm. And so you're furloughed, you're, you've already kind of started, playing around with YouTube. Then you decide to go full time and you start learning drones. So take me to this era of your life. At when did you quit? When did you really get into YouTube? And drones is now a big thing, a big part of your content. And I think you teach people how to
Yes.
use drones, which is cool. So take me back to 2020 and explain to
This
me
is
this.
things escalated quickly. So in 2020, when I was furloughed, that was when
Mhm,
I went hard on YouTube. That was when, for me, I felt safe traveling to beach locations where you could just be outside and be alone. And so I
mm.
spent that time during the pandemic creating YouTube videos in
And were a lot
totally
of those in Florida because that's where you already
no.
were? No?
Well, I made some in Florida, but in Florida, there's still a lot of, like, being inside,
Mm,
like, and I felt safer just being out. And
mm,
so Tulum, Mexico, for example, was a place where, like, they don't really have an inside, like, every restaurant is outside. Everything's
mm,
outside.
mhm,
Zanzibar is the same. So I was in Zanzibar, in Tanzania, and I was in Tulum, Mexico, and that was when I really started going hard on YouTube videos, like, making a lot of videos, doing research around what were people asking, or even for me, as I was researching these trips, what was easy to find or what information was difficult to find. And it was during this time I got a call that said, "Hey, we need you to come back to work." And I remember being on trip,
mm,
being like, "I don't wanna go back to work. I also don't wanna be on, like, a 10-hour time difference from work." Like, I don't wanna go back to work. And they also gave me the option to take severance. And they're like,
mm.
"You have an option to either come back or take severance." And I chose severance, which gave me a financial runway to be able to play with YouTube to see if could this go somewhere. And I allowed myself to just be creative and try something new because even though I'm talking about making these videos, I mean, my old life was not in the corporate world making videos. I was literally Google searching every step of the way. How do you cut a video? How do you trim a video? How do you overlay music on a video? This is literally a Google search every time. And Meatball used to laugh at me and he would call me the Hulk because because I would always look like I wanted to, like, big smash my phone, like, I was just because, I was in the corporate world for so long doing the same thing, I knew exactly how to do something. I could speak very eloquently about all the things. Now, I don't know how to do a damn thing, like, not a single thing. I have to look up every single thing I do. I'm looking at the help guide, but I'm also editing on my phone, so I need to switch over to that tab and read it's just so annoying. Like, I'm annoyed every step of the process, but at the same time, I know I wanna try this, and I need to give myself more patience. And so, I'm traveling around. I really start the YouTube channel. It really starts taking off. And I knew at the same time, and now that I mentioned this, you're probably going to start noticing it as you like watch movies or watch TV shows. The best way to establish your video, establish the shot, is with an aerial view. This is where we're at today. And the best way to say that is with drone footage. And so I had this idea in my head where I was like, I think I want to get a drone. Like, I think I want to be able to, and this was really both in service to my audience because I want to tell them the best story possible. And the best story is told, with that establishing shot, giving context to where you're at. This will help me to be a stronger storyteller. And it will also help me to be a better traveler because why do we sit in the window seat of the plane? Why do we even bother hiking to the top of the mountain? Why do we bother paying for a $25 cocktail in New York City? It's so you can get that view from the top, that view from the roof, that view from the plane. Now I can push a button and I can see that same view with my drone and I can move it around to where I want it to look. The most amazing things I discover when I travel are oftentimes with my drone. And a lot of people don't realize that I fly my drone for fun a lot and I just use it to explore the place I'm at and appreciate the place I'm at. But at the same time, going back to the calling people for advice. Now I'm in a new part of my life, right? Where like I need advice because I don't know what I'm doing with like YouTube and all of this video editing. So I talked to a few creator friends and I was like, hey, I think I'm gonna get a drone. Like, what do you think? Like, do you think I should get this drone? Because in my gut, I was like, oh yeah, you can do this, Christine. Like, come on. And everyone told me the same things. Everyone's doing it. You're too late. You're not going to be able to figure it out because it's hard. And for me, I'm listening to this and I'm like, no, like, no, no, it's not. Like, I got this. And I remember going, like, I'm ready. I've told Lou, I'm like, I'm going to get a drone. And he was so excited for me that he ran out and bought me a drone and then gave it to me, like, way before Christmas. And I was like, oh, thank you. Like, he's like, because he
So
was
now
really,
you have to learn it.
yeah, well, he's so
But
excited. He's so excited for me. He really wants to support me. And
So someone gave me a drone, and I'm embarrassed to say
what?
this. I
Oh,
think it
is it
was
in the
over a
box?
year. It was over a year ago. I don't even know what kind it is. It was a drone that someone had given them, and they had to travel back to where they live. They couldn't take it. And I'm so intimidated. Not intimidated. It just seems like it would be so hard to figure out how to learn it. Tell me what it was like for you learning how you get this drone. How hard was it to learn how to use it?
Well, the first time, it was impossible because I was peeing my pants and freaking out. But it's also because what have you done and what have I done in my everyday life that's like flying a drone? Flying a drone
Nothing.
is not like flying or driving a car. It's not like walking. It's not like anything we normally do. It's so foreign to us that we become afraid because it's so unfamiliar. So my first drone flight was in the backyard of his house. And I remember just being so scared. I didn't want to move it anywhere, barely wanted to touch the controls. And it was like a 2-minute flight in which it was mostly just hovering at 20 feet. And then I landed it and was like, I did it. But like in the same way, it's like the first times are the hardest and the worst times. And
Mhm.
so the second day we went out to a big open field and I went to go fly it and I flew it 3 feet further, just a little bit further. I was peeing in my pants. I was so afraid. I was sweating bullets. Like, it was the worst. And then, I landed it, and then I was like, boom, day 2 was done. And then it just kept going like this, where it was a little bit of progress at a time. But at the same time, I was using YouTube tutorials to learn how to fly this drone.
Hmm.
And I was becoming upset because in every tutorial I would watch, it was this very technical. Let's talk about the yaw and let's talk about the degrees and let's talk about the roll and let's talk about like all these terminology things. It's like push button, go left. It's like, why does it have to be so complicated? And what I realized was I spent all of this time being scared of the newness when learning to fly a drone is one of the easiest things. I have taught thousands of people to fly a drone and hundreds of people in person. I captured my mom learning to fly a drone with me. And I remember her putting her glasses on and then taking it off and like looking at me and being like, really, it's that easy? Like, it really is that easy because technology has gotten to a place where it's very, very easy. And
Hmm.
the other thing about drones, and I'll just give one example, when you're in a car, you have the stoplights, the stop signs, the medians, other cars that you could potentially hit, right? And you got to be really careful when you're driving. But if you're flying a drone, once you get your drone hovering just above the trees, the buildings, and everything else, as long as you do not lower your drone, you have the whole sky to fly around. And a
Hmm.
lot of people don't know that a lot of drones, especially every DJI drone, is equipped with a return to home button where if you're like, oh wait, I flew it too far. Where is it? And you don't know how to use the maps yet, you just push the button and it will just fly back to you.
Oh,
And a
that
lot of
is good to know.
Right, but a lot of people don't know this, which is what inspired me to start
Mhm.
teaching people and bringing them along with my journey and what I was learning,
Mm.
because too many, especially women, are intimidated to fly a drone. A lot of
Mhm.
men are like, "Oh, yeah, that controller looks like my PlayStation or my
Mhm.
Xbox." Whereas a lot of women who are like, This is very foreign to me. I don't really like
Mhm.
this." And I wanted more travelers and female content creators to not only explore the world, but to be able to capture themselves and better stories for their audience. And so
Yeah.
that's how I pivoted into drones.
Yeah, and you also I'm going to go download it probably immediately after this, interview because you've completely inspired me to I knew that eventually, at some point in the future, I'll want to figure out drones, but you have a free guide, don't you, that
I
is
do.
kind of aimed, I think, towards women to help them figure out how to use drones. So I'm definitely gonna go check that out, and I will put the links for that in the show notes. But you specifically, how long did it take you at the very beginning without your own helpful guide? How long did it take you to start feeling like you had a hang of the drone?
3 days.
Oh, only 3 days? Oh, I was thinking like a month or something.
No,
Okay. Oh,
within the
okay.
first month, I captured myself, hand launching the drone from a kayak and taking a photo of myself in the kayak in one of the most beautiful parts of Florida, and that became the Florida Tourism Board magazine cover. Like, it's literally that
Wow.
easy. Like, a
Wow.
once you just kind of understand, and again, like, everything about a drone is new, but once you get over that hump of, "Okay, it's all new," it's
Mhm.
really easy to learn because there's so much technology built into the drone to both keep you safe,
Mhm.
and they're equipped with amazing cameras. It's very, very easy to fly a drone. Anyone that tells me it's hard, I'm like, "No, you're just caught up in on your day 1. You're caught up on your day 1, that's all."
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for saying that, and you've actually honestly inspired me to figure out.
Yes.
But first, going back to your financial runway, you had this severance pay, and so that was your financial runway. How, in your mind, how much time did you have with this financial runway?
It's a good question because at that time, I was also balancing how much gear do I need? How
Mhm.
much additional equipment do I need to purchase? Like, what
Mhm.
do I need to help grow my business? And so I was trying to factor in all of these things to figure out how long of a runway I had.
Mhm.
And so I started with a very basic gear setup. And I mean, now we're fast forwarding just a little bit, right? I had just
Mhm.
my phone for a long
Mhm.
time. I bought a very expensive $10 lav mic
Mhm.
that I would use sometimes. Mostly I wouldn't use it at all.
Mhm.
And then, the drone was a gift from my boyfriend. But I basically had a 1-year runway in which I didn't need to make any money just to see how this would all pan out. So I gave myself a 1-year runway.
Okay. And then the equipment, the travel equipment, was this all self-taught or did you take some classes or was it just like Google, YouTube searches every step of the
YouTube.
way?
Oh, I
Yeah.
love and then this is part of the reason why, like, I wanna contribute to how-tos on YouTube. I
Mhm.
have found so much value there in learning different skills, whether how to video edit or how to fly by drone, and so I primarily used YouTube to learn how to
Mhm.
do a lot of these things.
Mm. And so at some point you have to make this a job and it sounds like you wanted to turn this into your career, how you were making money. How did that happen? And what was your original idea and then how did it actually pan out?
Oh, the original idea is never the actual idea that pans out. I
Mhm.
was one of the many, and I'm sure many people who are listening to this might feel the same way or think the same thing, which is I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna be on YouTube. I'm gonna get a gajillion views, and I am gonna live off of ad revenue. Like, I'm gonna make money off of ad revenue." You literally make pennies on the view. Like,
Mhm.
yeah, many people cannot live off of ad revenue. It barely covers my champagne budget each month. But my initial idea was I'm just gonna make ad revenue. But
Mhm.
then as you get into it, and a lot of people are like, "Well, what is your, like, main income stream?" And, like, one of the things that I didn't realize was possible until I started living this life is that most content creators have lots of income streams that come from different places. And so I'll just give you kind of a smattering of what started to kick off what kept me going beyond this 1-year runway.
Mhm.
So obviously, yes, ad revenue was happily almost covering my champagne budget, which was a little bit great. But then, like, there's other things. So, hey, like, I've given you this helpful tips around like where to stay, like what tour operators to use, and like where to book your rental car from at this destination. And many people will verbatim copy my travel, which means I became an affiliate for that hotel, for that car rental, for that tour company. And every time people would book, I would make a commission off of that. And so affiliate revenue for lots of different places became another aspect of that. As I started getting into drones, I started becoming a paid speaker to speak at conferences, to be
Mm.
paid to put on workshops, to do one on one training. I have online courses. I have lots of free tutorials and lots of free content on drones, but I also have paid courses where people who wanted to go deep, who wanted to work with hotels is another one. Hey, I can come out as a content creator for you, where I take photos and videos of your fill in the blank with whatever it is. Oftentimes it's a hotel property, and I'm selling that content back to the hotel. So I'm going out as a photographer, videographer. Or sometimes I'm going out as, hey, like, I would love to partner together and promote you in my video. Like, it's a really good fit for what I'm working on. And they might sponsor the video, or they might cover the entire trip, or they might something. And so this is just a couple of examples of what it looks like. On Virgin Voyages, for example, I spent 4 months creating a pocket guide, which is like my best of the best tips. And so for someone who's going, they might not have time to watch my 50 free YouTube videos. I mean, that's my face for a really long time. They might just want to pay, the equivalent of a glass of Moet, $25 for that printable guide so they can have it in their pocket. Lots of people buy my guide. And so this is just a couple of the examples of what life looks like now,
Mm,
which I'm like, I didn't even know any of those things existed. I was just ready to live off of ad revenue, which does
yeah.
not pay the bills.
No. You just learn
Yeah.
as you go and you learn by doing.
But I would add one more thing to that, which is for this one, I was in such a new place in my life that yes, YouTube was great for learning, but I'm a big advocate of spending time with people who are way above your level. And
Mm,
how can you add value to those people's lives so that they will want to spend time with you? And so
mm,
when I first started, I reached out to like 5 of the biggest creators who were doing it well. And I tried to figure out ways where I was like, hey, can I, join you for a sunrise drone and take you out for breakfast afterwards? I know you do this every day that you're not traveling anyway. I will drive the 2 hours at 4 a.m. to meet you on the beach at 6 a.m. And we can, and basically I got to pick his brain for 30 minutes, which turned
wow.
into him inviting me to a PR event, which he talked shop with me for another 2 hours. We created content together. I was in his content. Like
Mhm,
this fill in the blank goes on and on with lots of different creators where I was trying to find a way that I add value to them.
mhm,
Another one is a huge scuba diver. I was on trip doing drone stuff in the Maldives. He was there as well. And I was like, hey, can I just be on the side, taking behind the scenes video of you? Because,
mhm,
like creators always want a second angle of themselves, not just
mm,
what they're shooting. And I was like, I'm happy to put together huge folders of all of this content of you shooting content so that you can use that however you want to. And you
mm,
won't know what? Roberto Ochoa, who's millions of followers, he's like, heck yeah. And put me in contact with a lot of his contacts or helped me with my settings on my drone or shooting underwater content. And so trying to find ways to be of value and learn from people in person as well, who are
mm.
the best of the best that I have access to.
That is a great tip. If you want to add value to a content creator, if you can't think of anything else, give them content of themselves. Film
Yeah.
them while they're doing something. I think any content creator would love to have more content. So, what is your schedule like now? What is a typical day if there is one? And if it goes by week, like what's a typical day and when you're at home and what's a typical day when you're out traveling?
It has changed significantly this year. I used to travel very fast,
Mhm.
taking 4 to 6 trips per month, flying a lot, going from place to place to place really fast at lightning speed. And now that I'm a little bit more established and have a larger audience, I am much more choosy about my projects, and I try to go to the places I truly want to for longer and go deep on the content and the partnerships that I have out there. And
Mhm.
so this year, for example, I only say yes to a project like once a month. But Bonaire, for example, I was there for 2 weeks. I was considering going for the entire month, but I decided I'm coming back because I want to edit really quick before I go celebrate my mom's birthday in San Diego,
Mhm.
for example.
Mhm.
And so I'm taking these longer trips, and it depends on if it's a new destination or not a new destination, on what my actual schedule looks like. And so if I'm on trip, for example, Bonaire is a place I've traveled to for the last 4 years, once a year, every year. So I have this library of a ton of content. So I'm spending a ton of time going through it before I go as I figure out all the stories I want to tell and what I want to capture, figure out what's missing. And I'm just shooting that specific content, usually up at sunrise, shooting content throughout the day, scuba diving 2 to 4 times a day, shooting underwater content, connecting and podcasting with people on the ground over there. having dinner out with the other content creators I'm with, or with the people that I'm creating content with, leading into sorting all that content and trying to do light edits, and just get ready for the next day with what I need to shoot until like 2 in the morning. And
Hmm.
so very long days when I'm on trip. If I'm in a brand new place, it's hard because not only am I trying to figure out where I'm going next, navigating that new place, trying to figure out the culture, the language, the currency, all the things, but simultaneously trying to find the stories
Hmm.
and figure out what makes sense to shoot, and more or less shooting everything.
Hmm.
So I try to go back to the same places again and again.
Hmm.
When I'm
Bonaire is
not,
one of your favorite places, right?
oh, it's one of
Can
my
you?
favorite places.
I'm so sorry, but I don't know where Bonaire is.
You shouldn't. Most people
Okay.
don't. And
Okay.
friend was like, "You need to stop making travel content about this place because it needs to stay a hidden gem."
Oh,
But
okay.
no, you should the world should know about Bonaire. It's difficult to travel to, because not a lot of people go there, so there's not a lot of flights. But Bonaire is part of the ABC Islands, Aruba, Bonaire, and Curacao. Most
Hmm.
people know Aruba, but
Mhm.
these islands are 70 miles off of the coast of Venezuela, so that's the
Mm.
part of the world that we're in, but it's in the Caribbean Netherlands. So it's owned by the Dutch.
Mm.
And so there's
Mm.
lots of Dutch people there. And it's amazing because you can drink water from the tap. It's relatively extremely inexpensive compared to other islands. And you have a very perfect and untouched reef. And so the snorkeling and scuba diving here are amazing. There's one single road that goes around the island, most of the island, but it is very uninhabited. It's only 24 miles long with only like a couple tens of thousands of people living there.
Wow.
It's
That does
beautiful.
sound nice. Yeah.
It's really nice. It is
Yeah,
a diverse paradise.
it is. So I will say I'm not an island person, so I don't think everyone's gonna flock there. But I know that many people are drawn to islands. So I don't know. Maybe I'll
Exactly.
make this as bonus content, but I'll probably just share it.
I love
So
that.
So now what is your next kind of phase in life? What's your next focus? You're teaching women how to use drones. A lot of women find it extremely intimidating, but it can be such a wonderful tool to have, especially in today's day and age. But what kind of is the next phase, like your current focus slash immediate future focus, next thing you're working on?
It's a good question because especially because all of this is still so new to me and I'm pivoting and changing all the time. I don't have a long-term plan. I only have like
Mm.
the short term, what's next.
Mhm.
And one of the things that's been really rewarding with drones is I can't tell you how many women send me messages saying, like, it's a overcoming a lack of confidence that when they take to the sky, they literally feel as free as a bird. And so a couple of the things I'm working on in the near term are, one, group trips where people can come have an adventure with me. And there will be an aspect of group trips in which we go fly drones together or learn to fly drones together. And so group trips is one of the first things that's on my list, both associated with just having an adventure, doing drones, and then separately group trips around Virgin Voyages because I
Mhm.
love that experience. But that's
Mhm.
on the near term. What's
Mhm.
next for me?
Are you finding that the women who are following you, there are more and more women in their 40s, maybe 50s, 60s, 70s, who are wanting to get out more because this whole travel content lifestyle seems to be really just limited to the 20-year-olds. Are you
Mm,
seeing that change?
that's a good question because I look at, given my background in Walmart and Amazon, I look at my analytics all the time. And
Mhm.
I do primarily have a female audience, but a lot of them tend to be between 25 and 60.
Mm.
And what's interesting, and I would say the common thread amongst all of them is travel might be the catalyst for it, or it might be the getting out of your everyday comfort zone to think and feel and act differently. But it's
Mhm.
all people who are wondering the same thing I was wondering for years, which is, could there be something else? Or is there
Mhm.
more to this? Or are all the things that I was told are right, are they really right for me? I would say that's definitely a common thread amongst all of them.
Mm. Yeah.
You're
So to
never
you being
too It's never
never
too
too
late to
late,
reinvent yourself.
never too late. And so it's possible, it's fully possible to be in your 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and travel, learn drones, even be a content creator. That's what you
Absolutely.
decide you want to do.
Yes.
So, would you say then, in summary, that you have in fact reinvented yourself from think about the person you were back in 2013? Obviously, with time, we all reinvent ourselves. That happens naturally. But do you feel like you've kind of taken a proactive reinvention to your life?
I would say a hard hell yeah. And part of the reason why I say it is if I were to go back to the old me and just tap on her shoulder as she's typing away in her cubicle and be like, hey, this is what your life is going to look like later. She would probably laugh in my face and be like, no, like that's not even possible. It's not possible. And not only that, I don't think that's the right choice for you. I think she'd be so stuck in the old life
Hmm.
that she was living back then to know that this is even a possibility, that I could be as happy as I am now versus as happy as I thought I was then.
Well, I think that is a great way to end this interview. It's definitely been eye-opening and extremely inspiring. So thank you so much for being on my podcast. I'll put your links in the show notes, and there will be your guide, your free drone guide. But tell people where they can find you.
They can find me at Christine Lozada everywhere. ChristineLozada.com will kind of drive you to my blog, my YouTube channel, and everything else. But Christine Lozada everywhere.
That's the end of this interview so far. If you want to watch the other half of this interview or see how another woman reinvented herself over the age of 35, you can click on this next video here or on the playlist there or in the description box below. And please let me know, how would you reinvent yourself? Please write your answer in the comments below. And if you like this video, the number one way that you can say thanks to me is to hit the subscribe button and then hit the thumbs up button for this video.